Yeah. Tell him don't play with me, bitch, I got gang with me. Just wanna trade with me. I been up late viewing tape for the sake of it. Heart do the race on stage, I got here to the Great Lakes. Let me slide in the ride like a raid, full tank in it. I been clearing space for me, I been feeling great lately. Everything I'm touching now, it been on way to me. Yeah. I'm just trying to take it in. Say she done making friends, she through with it. Talking about she craving it, she just wanna take it in.
I know a lot of guys that aren't tying the FG knot, and I listen to what they have to say about it, and I think I know what the cure is. I've taught a few people how to tie it. I can bring a couple different techniques, the way that I tie it, that's gonna make it just a little bit easier for you guys. But let's start off with braid to leader. What are the advantages of braid to leader? Number one, guys, braid offers a sensitivity that fluorocarbon cannot. It just gives you that feel. And for me personally, you know, I like to have that feel. I like to know if I'm fishing over hard bottom. Even with my 360, even with live scope, I still love that feel, you know. And obviously you combo that with that braid with some tungsten too on top of it, you get a really good idea of what you're fishing over. As well as when it gets windy out, it kind of dims down that sensitivity in your rod. That braid to leader really increases that sensitivity, so you don't have to question things. So for me, the benefits way outweigh the cons, especially being up here in Minnesota, fishing around clear water. All right, guys, so what I like to do when I tie this FG knot, I'll show you guys the setup right now. Got the rod right here, and I'll tie this thing like even in the wind on the pond. The one way how I got good at tying this knot was, what I did was I actually made a promise to myself that no matter what, I'm tying this knot. I know some guys that would tie them at home, and then if they broke off on the water, they said, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna tie a different knot so that I can just get out back in the water again. I told myself that I wouldn't do that anymore. And that honestly is what got me good at tying this knot, was not running away from it, doing it every single time when need be. And that is honestly what made it to where I could actually tie it fast. You know, I'm guiding out on the water, I got clients in the boat, and I'll still tie one even with them in the boat now, because I'm just not really that worried about it. And I can tie it standing up, sitting down, but right now I'll show you guys how to do it the easiest way possible. Here is the trick to doing it. Number one, this you don't want super tight, and you just want it straight. Number two is I'm gonna pinch the middle of the line where I make my coils after every single one that I make, so that way if something happens in between, like say I let go of the line or something, not all my wraps come undone. So here we go. I'm gonna go one towards me, pull it to the right. And that's the other thing too, is when you cinch these coils down, you have to take this line and pull it to the right. See how I let off the tension and I grabbed it? Nothing's gonna happen to those. And then when I'm ready to start the knot up again, I just pull it back tight and make my next loop. Now, the key to this is using my fingers to guide that coil over the top of this. And I'll try and show you. So here's the next one that I'm gonna make. I'm gonna go, let's see here. I'm gonna go underneath towards me and away from me, and look at that coil come down, and there it is, just like so. I'm doing the next one, pinch it in the middle, and then I'm gonna take my thumb and I'm gonna guide that coil. I'm gonna guide that coil down, and it hits it. Okay, that's 20 or so. Now, again, I pinched it, I've watched it the whole time. I know this knot is good now. So, as you can see, here we are. Now, I got my tag end fluoro, and I got my main line right here. I'm gonna take them, I'm gonna pair them up like this, and I'm gonna separate the braid that's in my mouth over here. And I'm gonna make sure they do not twist on top of each other. Now, I'm gonna tie an overhand knot. Now, here's the key to this, is the actual purpose of this overhand knot is to sit on top of these coils right here. That's the purpose of it. So we gotta make sure that when we tie it, when it loops down, it doesn't get into here. We want it right here on the top of it. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna overhand knot on top of this flirtle. See it like this? Just like so. Now, the key to this is to get this slack out of there, and this is what I do. I use my hands, and I put this end in my mouth, and this loop right here, I gotta get that down, because the bigger the loop is, the more odds it is it's gonna slide down in here. So I'm actually gonna take, before I even send it this direction, I'm gonna pull it tight like this. Now see how all that slack's gone? Now, I'm gonna guide that knot down with my fingers right into the coils. I'm gonna pull it tight. Now, if you tied it right, when you yank on these two ends, she ain't gonna come loose. I'm gonna do it again now. Again, I'm gonna make sure that this is not all twisted in there. I'm gonna make sure that they're apart from each other and parallel with each other. I'm gonna take this braid end again, and you don't need this much braid. I kind of left kind of a lot, that's a little overkill. But I'm gonna take this one now. I'm gonna do the same exact thing. See how big that loop is? Put it in my mouth, take my two hands, make sure that I shrink that loop down to here. Now, I'm gonna take my two thumbs, I'm gonna guide it into the knot, just like so. Pull on it, and now my FG knot is done, almost. Now, two tag ends at the end, pretty simple stuff. I'm gonna take this end, cut her down, braid, gone. This furrow, pay attention to what I'm doing. I'm not gonna cut my knot. I'm gonna get right into the inside of it, cut her down. Huge pet peeve of mine is little line pieces in my boat. I don't like that. Next, I keep one of these in my boat. Thank you, Mr. Mike Rydell, for giving me this. I keep one of these in my boat because it gets windy out. Sometimes lighter don't want to actually light when it's really windy. That thing lights no matter what. I'm gonna singe this baby down. And the key is to singe it down, not too far into the knot. Okay, so here's the key with the FG knot. Every single FG knot that's ever broken on me, it was my fault. I ran it for too long. One thing that you really gotta pay attention to is that braid end right there. As you can see, if you can see that, that's cauterized, or it's hard on the end of it. And what happens is that these right here, it breaks down and then it starts to unravel itself and get into the knot. And that's what causes them to fail. You just got to keep an eye on it. I change mine out, or I retie my knots probably once every other outing or every two outings sometimes, depending on how much wear and tear it gets on it. So you do got to pay attention. But you know, the benefits to tying this knot way outweigh the cons all day long. You get the art of it. You get the surprise element of invisibility, and you get the sensitivity and the strength of braid along with it. And that to me is a huge benefit. I love fishing with braid. This makes it to where I can do it on most of my applications. I'm more comfortable with it. And you know, if you're fishing bait casters or if you're fishing spinning reels, less memory, like it's just, to me, it is so much better on most bottom contact baits. So being in Minnesota, fishing these clear lakes, you need to be invisible. This is definitely gonna get you more bites. I hope those tricks helped you. I hope those tricks helped you as far as tying it goes. Like I said, man, keep those hands on the knot. Make sure that you're constantly pinching this down along the way and you're using your fingers to guide those coils down. That is so critical in that way, because when you're tying this knot, every single step is critical. Every time you make an overhand swing, or when you're making these wraps, every single wrap that you make is critical that it goes right over the top and it's uniform every single time. The second that they start coming off of each other is the second the knot's gonna fail. So you gotta make sure, and this is the surefire way to where when you're running it and you keep your hands on it and you're watching every single coil that goes down, this is the for sure way to make it to where you're not wrapping it 20 times and then at the end of it, it all falls apart and you're upset because you just wasted 30 minutes on tying this knot. And this takes that out of it completely. Keep your hands on the knot. Everything's gonna be all good. Hope you guys like the video. We will see you guys very, very soon. Should have a Mille Lacs report for you guys soon. I'm gonna be getting out there. I got a tournament out there on the 16th of September. Big money tournament. It's gonna be fun, boys.